Alright, welcome. This is the second video in the series on the PIC32MX250F128B. This video is gonna go through how to get your computer set up and then what hardware you will need and how to buy that. So, first thing you need to do is get the IDE that you're going to be developing your code in. You can get that by going to microchip.com/mplab and then mplabx IDE, or you can just Google mplabx and you should be able to find this webpage pretty easily. If you scroll down to the bottom of it, there's this feature. It'll be defaulted to that features tab. Click on downloads, and then if you're on Windows, you want this guy, and it's for Mac and Linux, same option. You probably want whatever the latest and greatest is. Just click on that and it'll start the download. I am on I'm using my phone's hotspot though, so I'm not going to do that right now. I've already downloaded it, and the download is around 630 megabytes. So depending on what your speed is, be ready for that. The next thing you will need is to download the compiler. The IDE is the software you use to develop your code and install it onto the microprocessor, but you need a compiler to compile your code, and they keep that as a separate download. So if you look on the side here, where is it hiding? There it is, MPLAB XC compilers. You click on that guy, it'll pull up this page. And again, scroll down to the bottom, you'll see this additional information. Click on the downloads tab, and then depending on your operating system, find the version you need. For me, and then if you're using a 8-bit, 16-bit, or 32, our PIC32 is of course 32-bit architecture, so we need this guy. Click on that, it'll download. That is another 360 megabytes. So once you have those downloaded, go through the install wizards, install them on your machine. Then the next thing we need to do is get all the hardware we're going to need to go through all these videos. So first things first, head over to, we need to get the microcontroller. I'm going to recommend, I think, going through digikey on this. I'll put it this way. If you're just going to buy what I consider the bare bone things to follow along with what I'm doing, I'd recommend going to digikey because it's going to be the cheapest option. And digikey is really good to work with. I've never had any problems with them. The one bad thing about them is, though, that when you buy from them, you still have to pay for shipping. I'm so spoiled. I'm so used to Amazon Prime. Shipping's not even in my head anymore, so whenever I have to pay it, I get upset, which is a sad thing to say. But so if you're going to order from digikey, make sure you plan ahead and get all the components you're going to need at once. That way you don't have to do multiple shipments and pay multiple shipping orders. And also, if you're used to Amazon Prime like me, anything over 2 days is going to seem like a long time. So keep in mind that usually it's standard shipping. It can take up to a week to get there. So yeah, I'd come here, 391. Just search for the PIC32 MX250F128B. It'll pull up. It won't pull this up actually. But, I don't know if I can walk through this. It's gonna. Okay, I'll just do it. Why not? So PIC32 MX250F128B. Let's search that guy. Okay, and it's gonna pull this up. And if you're not familiar with digikey, it can be a little confusing. That's why I'm going through this. So it looks like it didn't really pull up too much, but if you read further, you'll realize, embedded microcontrollers. Yeah, I want those. So click on that. It pulls up this huge parts listing, and right off the bat, wow, I found it, 250F128B, and you can see that it's in the DIP. But if you couldn't find that easily, you can go through these filters, and what you're going to look for is over here this DIP, 28-pin DIP, and it says 3 remaining, which since there's some, I'm going to go ahead and apply that, and then boom, pops this up for me, which is nice. So I'd add some of these to my cart and go on with it. So if you're buying through digikey, I'll come back to digikey in a second, but I'm going to go through the other parts that you're going to need to follow along with my videos. and I'm going to go through those on Amazon because, well, it's just really easy to go through Amazon to get things that you need, and Amazon provides a couple of options that I think are really nice. So the next thing you're going to need, and this is an essential component, is the PIC32MX250F128B. Oh, sorry. I wanted to point out that you can get the chip on Amazon, but it's a little more expensive. Like, it's $6 instead of $3, so keep that in mind. Okay, so we need the PIC32MX250F128B in order to communicate between our computer and the PIC. And when I bought mine, it didn't come with a ribbon cable. You can get away with just using normal wires, but the ribbon cable, which is this guy right here, it actually does make it a lot easier to plug into the board, in my opinion. So it's not essential. Like, you could get, I don't even know why you'd buy this one if it's twice the price, but looks like there's a few good options on Amazon. You can get it for really cheap. I think I actually bought mine off Microchip's website, so that must have cost me a pretty penny back in the day, which is a crime considering the type of person I am. But yeah, I'd take a look on Amazon. Comes with a USB cable. I forget what kind it is. I think it's like a USB mini, which for me is nice because that's also the same cable I need to charge my oscilloscope. But so it comes with the cable, the PIC32MX250, and then a ribbon cable, which is really nice. So you're going to need to grab one of those. Oh, this module is also the thing that if you don't have a power supply, you can power your chip with the PIC32MX250, which is a really nice option. The only problem with that, though, is it only can supply 30 milliamps of current. So if you're trying to control motors or something like that, this will not be able to do it. But for the first few lessons we're going to go through, or examples we're going to go through in this series, 30 milliamps of current is plenty. So if you're planning on doing projects that you're going to need more current than that, you're going to need to pick up a power supply too, probably. And along with that goes other tools that electrical engineers need, like a voltmeter, ohm meter, although usually you can get those in one multimeter. You can get that at a Harbor Freight or Walmart or wherever, even like AutoZone or places like that. Okay, the next thing you will need, since we're just buying the chip and we don't have a development board, you're going to need all the supporting components to build the thing. So easiest way, in my opinion, when you're doing electronics is to buy kits, because then you get a various well, a good spectrum of values for any component that you need. So I love these resistor kits. I bought one of these boxed ones, and they're pretty nice because they organize the different values in little bags. So you just scroll through the bags until you see the value you need, pull that out and grab one of those. Like this first one looks like they're just kind of in there and you have to read the coloring on the resistors, which is probably a good thing to know how to do, but it's just time consuming, so I prefer the just organization. But I bought my kit a while ago, and since then it looks like they have some nicer ones. For example, this one comes in a nice plastic box and the bags look like they're labeled. I'll put a couple links to what I might buy in the description, but you can look through these and see what fits your personal preference. And again, if these kits are kind of out of your price range, you can get whatever resistor values you're going to need from digikey. I can tell you right now the values you're going to want are 1K and 10K, and if you had about a dozen of those each, you can get through a lot of the first few examples we're going to be doing in this series. So, but if you're into this kind of thing and you want to be able to do more in the future, I'd look into buying a kit, because then you have flexibility. And same goes along with that for capacitors. These kits look beautiful. They did not have this when I bought my capacitors. I bought this Joe's Nose box, which is fantastic. It's honestly worked out great for me. But man, when you can have things organized and you can just pick and grab without having to open bags and scroll through things, that's really nice. One thing I will say is when you're buying capacitors, for the first few circuits we're going to set up, well, the first circuit we're going to set up, which might be the next video, is the minimum connections for the microcontroller. They recommend, actually I think they might even require that you use ceramic capacitors, so make sure that you get at least some 0.1 microfarad ceramic caps. If you're buying on digikey, make sure to get a bunch of those. Okay, yeah. Next on, so I know I might have given Arduino a hard time in the first video, but one thing that's nice about them is everybody loves them, so they build things like kits for them to get people excited and interested. So that benefits us in that if you wanted to get a bunch of peripherals for your microcontroller, like an LCD screen, LEDs, push buttons, these 7-segment displays, breadboard, like this one kit gives you resistors, just a ton of components that you're going to need if you want to experiment with this thing and actually use it. So these kits in my mind are a pretty good way to go if you don't exactly know what you want to do, but you know you want to get into this and you want to be able to play around with it. The one bad thing is Arduinos work on 5 volts, I think, and this PIC works on, I think, up to 3.5. So I'm not sure if all of the components will work because, well, okay, I haven't gotten into the LCD screen part yet. So I don't know if the one, I bought one of these kits about a year ago, but I don't know if my LCD screen will work on 3 volts. It might be a 5 volt screen, I have no idea. I haven't got into that. And the problem with buying a kit is it's often very hard to find the data sheets on the parts because they don't come with any and the parts are kind of non-descriptive. So keep that in mind. The things that you're going to need for the first few videos in this series are you're going to want some LEDs, resistors, and 7-segment displays. If you don't know what those are, a 7-segment display is these guys right here. It allows you to create a number out of 7 LEDs basically, which is kind of a cool thing. So if you're buying through digikey, just look for those things. You shouldn't, with those components, you shouldn't have to worry about voltage or anything because you're gonna limit the amount of current through those LEDs with your resistors. So make sure you have, well, even you can get by with just the 1K resistors. But if, again, buying a resistor kit might be a good option. And you know what, I haven't looked on digikey. They probably do sell kits. They might even sell microcontroller kits. I'm not even sure. But yeah, later on we might get into some motors. The LCD display I want to do with that, and buttons. So if you can get a little contact buttons, they're weird looking things. Well, heck, let's go over to digikey and check them out. Push button switches, that looks promising. Yeah, so anything like this, just some leads that come off of it that you can put into your breadboard. Let's see if they have one similar to the one that came with my kit. Again, I'll try and find these and put links to them in the description, but it's something like this where there's just leads coming off the thing and it's got a simple push button. I think those are going to be important. Those are important topics because despite its surface appearance, buttons are actually a little bit more complicated than just pushing things. So I think that's going to be it for this video. Yeah, just keep those things in mind. If your digikey is probably a cheaper option, but you will have to pay shipping and it will take a little more time to get there. And like I said, if you're trying to just use these videos to learn how to do basic things and then go on to your own projects, if you're going to buy through digikey, really research what you think you will need because the shipping is kind of a big hit in my mind. So make sure you order everything up front. But to do that requires that you think it through in the first place. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks. Have a good day.